Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day to our panelists. First of all, welcome to our research study presentation. Our research study title is the performance behavior in the services sector among the JNT Express Melaka employees, and our research study supervisor is Sir Muhammad ZULHILMI bin YUNUS.
So I will introduce the researcher of this study. The first researcher is Muhammad FAKHRULRADZI bin Muhammad NIZAM with metric number 2019678992. And the second researcher is me, SYAQIRAH ANISHA BINTI NORASLI with metric number 2019579011. Both of us are from AM 228CA, and both of us also will accompany you along this presentation. Now I will tell the research background of this study. Performance of the employees depends on how the organizational control the management, including employers and employees. Performance behavior is how the employees doing their tasks and execute the required tasks by their manager. Next is skilled workforce is also the keyword in the organization by Bryson 2016. It is because skill give big impact to the organizational success, and the employees need to have good strategies in improving the organizational growth. Besides, technology can raise the process and increase the productivity of the employees if the management control the organizational well. In the current world, the internet is the main determinant to the employee performance itself. Meanwhile, behavioral evaluations can help you make better hiring decisions because they are insightful, powerful, and important, especially for the organizations in the future planning. It is according to March 2017. First problem statement is employers are intended to take advantage from the employees. The upper management reduce their operational costs by discriminating them in terms of wages. But the payment scheme by the company need to be fairly to satisfy both parties, which is the employer and the employees. The employers are tend to prioritize the company revenues rather than preparing a good working place as demanded by the employees, such as in terms of safety and health. When this happens, this will be the one of the factors that causes the level of employees' performance behavior decline and also occur the critical incident in the workplace by Scranton 2020. The third one is the ineffective of company policies will lead to the dissatisfaction and demotivate to perform better on their job tasks. Failure in response towards the unfair company policies present no accountability and transparency from employers and management. Next, we will move to research question and research objective. In this research, we have 3 research questions. The first one is whether the factors are changing the performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. Second is what is the level of the performance behavior among JNT Express Melaka employees. And the third one is what is the most influential factor to the performance behavior among JNT Express Melaka employees. Meanwhile, for the research objective, we also have 3 research objectives, and the first one is to determine the relationship between salary and pay with performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. Second is to determine the relationship between working condition with performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. And the last one is to determine the relationship between company policy with performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. For the conceptual framework, the construction of the conceptual framework is based on the understanding on the performance behavior of employees by following the theory related, which is respect to factors theory, hygiene factors and motivation factors, and also the balance scorecard theory. In the conceptual framework, researcher tries to determine the relationship between the independent variables and also the dependent variables, which the independent variable of the research consists of salary and pay, company policy, and also the working condition. And the dependent variable is the performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. The hypothesis statement for all three independent variables and each independent variables consists of two statements of hypothesis, which are hypothesis null and hypothesis alternative. For independent variables salary and pay, hypothesis null one is there is no relationship between salary and pay with behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. Meanwhile, hypothesis alternative 1, there is relationship between salary and pay with performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. Next is independent variable working conditions. The hypothesis null 2 is there is no relationship between working condition and with the performance behavior in the service sector among the JNT Express Melaka employees. And hypothesis alternative 2 is there is a relationship between working condition with the performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. The last independent variable for company policy. For the hypothesis null 3, there is a relationship between company policies with the performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. Meanwhile, hypothesis alternative 3, there is a relationship between company policies with the performance behavior in the service sector among JNT Express Melaka employees.
For research design, the correlation research design is adopted by the researchers in order to determine the relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variables, whether there is a positive or negative direction. For unit of analysis, the unit of analysis of this research is individual, which it is referred to the JNT Express Melaka employees. For the overall population of JNT Express Melaka employees is 406 employees, where there is no specifically mentioned 406 in the Craigie and Morgan table of sample size. Hence, researchers choose 400 population because of it is close to the actual population and it is equal to 196 of sample size. Sampling technique, this research adopting the stratified random sampling, where it is divided into two strata, which is the gateway center and the drop point center. For data instrument and measurement, questionnaire through Google Form is the instrument that used in this research. Meanwhile, for measurement, it is based on the Likert scale from 1 to 5, where 1 represent for strongly disagree, 2 disagree, 3 mixed feeling, 4 agree, and 5 strongly agree. For data collection, questionnaire is used in order to collect the data from the respondent, where the questionnaire is divided into 5 sections, which first section is demographic of respondent, second section is for the performance behavior in the services sector among the JNT Express Melaka employees, third section is the salary and pay, fourth section is working condition, and lastly is for the company policy. For data analysis, there are 4 statistical techniques that implement in this research, which first is preliminary analysis, second, descriptive statistic, third, Bayesian correlation analysis, and lastly, multiple regression analysis. Based on the demographic respondent table, the majority of respondents is from the male gender with 180 number of respondents or equal to 91.8%. The 22 years old and above is the highest number of respondents with 154 or equal to 78.6%. Moreover, the majority respondent is from the gateway center with 101 respondents or equal to 51.5%. Plus, the normal staff position is the majority of respondents with 126 that equal to 64.3%. And lastly, the duration work of respondents that work more than 1 year is the majority of respondents with 90 numbers of respondents, which equal to 45.9%. For the main finding, the first objective is to examine the relationship between the salary and pay with the performance behavior in the services sector among JNT Express Melaka employees. Since the p-value is 0.011, which less than the alpha value, therefore, the null hypothesis 1 is rejected and accept the hypothesis alternative 1. For the objective 2 is to examine the relationship between the working condition with the performance behavior in the services sector among the JNT Express Melaka employees. Since the p-value is less than the alpha value, which is 0.022, therefore, the hypothesis null 2 is rejected and accept the hypothesis alternative 2. For the objective 3 is to examine the relationship between the company policy with the performance behavior in the services sector among the JNT Express Melaka employees. Since the p-value is greater than alpha value, which is 0.112, hence the hypothesis null 3 is accepted and reject the hypothesis alternative 3. Here is the recommendation for the issue that mentioned in the problem statement. For the salary and pay issue, researchers suggest that employer need to maintain employees' welfare wisely in terms of their benefits such as salary, remuneration, medical leave, incentive, and the overtime pay. This is because it can impact on their attitude to be more positive, and indirectly it can boost the production of the organization. For working condition issue, researchers suggest that they need to create a safety working culture by doing the internal and external safety course training, application safety sign and label, and facility inspection. Indirectly, it can prevent the critical incident to be occurred in the organization. For the company policy issue, researchers suggest that there must be involvement of employees in the decision making. This is because the employees is also behalf of the organization that need to be empowered. Hence, it can present the equity and equality for the every hierarchy structure in the organization. There are several future suggestions of this research. First is restructure the questionnaire by reduce the difficulty for the respondent to answer. Indirectly, many data can be collected by researchers since it's not taken a long time for respondent to finish answering the questionnaire. Secondly, is to cover large population by cover all state in the southern region, which including the Johor and Negeri Sembilan, instead of do the survey in Melaka only. Hence, the result will be more consistent and accurate. Last suggestion is conduct the survey through the phone call, where it is an additional platform for the researcher to help the disability person like have sight problem and illiterate problem to participate into the survey. Research limitation, there are several research limitations of this study, which first is time constraint, that because of the pandemic COVID-19 situation, where the researchers are only allowed to do the survey only through the online platform, which consume 2 months in order to reach the requirement of the sample size, which it is not effective as compared to the face-to-face and conventional style. Second problem is limited model. It is because of this research only have 3 independent variables, which it is insufficient factors to influence the dependent variables. Indirectly, it causes constraint for the researchers to obtain accurate of the result of this study. The last problem is the weakness of the quantitative method. This is because quantitative method cannot measure the truthfulness of respondent, and it difficult to gain the in-depth explanation through the questionnaire answer. As a conclusion, this study has successfully discovered the relationship between the independent variables and dependent variable, where the independent variables that have significant relationship with the performance behavior in the services sector among JNT Express Melaka employees is the salary and pay and working condition. In addition, the most influential factors to the performance behavior in the services sector among the JNT Express Melaka employees is salary and pay, since the regression value is less than 0.05.